See right here is the hit.
There's something that Dre does during his mixing processes that I haven't figured out yet. Like, cause you know, I produce records myself, so I'm like, I'm trying to study tricks and things like that. But while he's mixing, he makes the cleanest mixes and just, you know, the fullest beats like ever.
It's well known that Dr. Dre is one of the greatest producers and mix engineers of all time. But what's not well known is the tips, tricks, and techniques Dr. Dre used to achieve his iconic sound. So in today's video, I'm going to be diving into the mixing, recording, and producing secrets of the legendary Dr. Dre. When recording vocals, Dr. Dre was very particular. In fact, there was only one mic he would ever use, and that's the Sony C800G. Legendary engineer Rick Clifford recalls the first moments Dre heard the C800G and was in shock.
Day that we did California Love, I rented one of those Sony C800 mics. Dre still uses it to today. Dre got on the mic. He did that. He said, "Big Rick, what kind of mic is this?" I said, "It's a new Sony. It just came out." I said, "It's about $6,000 to $8,000. Dre recorded his vocal. He came out, called his guy up, and said, "Buy me 2 of these Sony microphones right now."
From the C800G, Dre would always go to a Neve 1073 preamp and then into a DBX 160 compressor.
Favorite is actually the DBX 160. All my vocals, anytime I record, I got the Neve 1073. I go straight from the mic, straight into the Neve, straight into here, straight to tape. And now Eminem has the same thing. Dr. Dre's using it. Everybody's got the 1073. They got the Sony mic.
Not only do Dre's records have great and upfront vocals, they also have hard-hitting and punchy drums. Dr. Dre's name has become synonymous with the infamous MPC drum machine and sequencer. In particular, he was known for using the MPC 3000 because of how hard it hit.
Nothing knocks harder than that MPC 3000. That was the last one that Roger Lynn fucked with. You see a picture of Dr. Dre, he's next to a 3000. This is not by coincidence. That shit is disrespectful.
Everybody used the MPC 60, 2000, or the 3000. Mostly the 3000 was the machine that you wanted to use because the software was still made by Roger Lynn. And I haven't done a session with Dre since Tupac passed away, but I can guarantee he's probably still using the MPC 3000.
Besides having the go-to production tools in his arsenal of the C800G and the MPC 3000, Dre was famously known for using the SSL console for recording and mixing. Throughout his career, Dre was known for using many different types of consoles, ranging mainly from the 4000E-G series he used at Can-Am and in his original home studio, to later the G series he used at Record One, and the 4000G Plus Classic he used at Interscope Studios, to now in his new facility where he has a massive custom SSL K series console. It's safe to say that Dre probably has mastered every single nook and cranny of the SSL console. In a few interviews, he said that he doesn't use a lot of outboard gear at all. Based on a few interviews, it seems like Dre is really fond of the compressors built into the SSL. In one interview, he stated he has a preference for using a high ratio on the compressor, up to about 8 or 10 on most of the elements that he has the compressor on. It also seems like he really likes to use the mix bus compressor in the SSL as well. Besides mastering the EQ, dynamics, and SSL compressor on the board, Dre knows how to push and pull audio through the board in order to get certain sounds.
Because Dre always taught me this thing coming up. There's this thing, when you clip that board with your drums, it gives it like a good peak. It gives it like a top end shine that you can't learn from anywhere else.
But the console was not the only thing Dr. Dre hit hard. He was known for pushing a lot of level to the tape machine, which further added to his sound. Tape machines he preferred in particular were the Studer A800 series.
It was the Studer A800 24-track multi-track tape machine, because whatever you put on that tape machine was like a slot machine. It gave you triple whatever you put into it. Whatever you put on it, it automatically came back better. It came out in the 70s, but it was the 90s where it just was, everybody was using it. It's the greatest tape machine ever.
Tape does a little distortion. It's called third harmonic distortion. That when you hit that tape just right, it gives a roundness, gives you a warmth, and that's why you listen to those, those early, Death Row or Tupac records and all those joints. Why they have that maybe that little extra love, that little extra warmth. Like you feel like it's a blanket, covering you.
And one thing he did differently than most engineers at the time, since a lot of that stuff he was engineering himself. The first session he said to me, "Will you help me with the tape levels?" And that's the needles that go, back and forth, how hot something's going to be printed. And he was just killing the needles. I mean, the kick was just going, which is against all rules. But I was like, that's how he gets his sound. That's why the drums are so powerful. He's just killing the tape machine to the closest point to distortion. Like he was overloading it, but it wasn't distorting.
After using tape, then going to DATs, Dre eventually ended up in Pro Tools. Originally, he just used it for sequencing and other miscellaneous tasks.
We brought our Pro Tool system up to Dre's house, and we did the Source Awards in Pro Tools. Then after that, every time that we needed something done, don't forget we had what they call a DAT tape back in those days. There was no way to edit a DAT tape unless you had 2 DAT players. So as soon as the mix got done, or we needed what we called album sequencing, we would charge $1,500 for a 12-hour lockout.
The new year is a perfect time to reinvent your goals and yourself. One of my goals was learning more about audio engineering. Now, learning audio engineering can be very intimidating, but learning the basics and starting small makes things way easier. Let me introduce you to Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning or wants to explore creative skills like audio engineering. While I was on the platform, I took a course called Young Guru's Essentials of Mixing. For those who don't know, Guru has been Jay-Z's go-to engineer for years and is both a creative and technical master of the audio engineering field. This course really helped me to build and solidify my foundation on the basics of audio. After watching this course, I found myself really maximizing the use of EQ and compression in my mixes. After that, I watched one of his introduction to audio recording tutorials. I found some really good gems in there about how to actually do some acoustic treatment on any room in order to get better vocal recordings. He also talks about communication with the artist, which is crucial, and cleaning up sessions post the recording process for mixing. If you guys are interested in joining as a member of Skillshare and starting your learning journey, check my link in the description below. The first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Now, while Dre's mixing through all this equipment, the lens that he examines the mix through is super important. And for Dre, that means having a good speaker setup he can trust. Throughout his career, it seems like Dre has had a go-to speaker set, and that is the Auratone Mix Cubes, the Yamaha NS10s, and whatever main monitors are in the studio. It's no coincidence that you'll see this monitoring setup everywhere that Dre goes. From Can-Am, to Record One, to Interscope, to his home studio, Dre keeps this setup consistent. You'll even notice that mentors of Dre, like Mixed by Ali, have caught on to this same setup.
I mean, I got that concept from Dre. Like when we was doing Good Kid, Mad City. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of just like, that was really like the training to me, you know, becoming who I was per se, or who I am. And just watching his process and how he manipulated certain things and used speakers for what they really are, I was able to just trying to find my own niche in it. Like mixing on one speaker, it doesn't sound pretty practical because, you know, a song is a stereo image of left and right. But I was just able to just like see through it. Hope you all enjoyed that video taking a look at some of the mix and production techniques used by Dr. Dre. If you guys want to see more Dr. Dre content and are interested in stuff like this, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Anyways, I'll see you guys next week for another video.